Lame, bro.
That's what he said, lame.
Lame. A good shave there, Cody. I see this. Wow. I mean, that's 10 years younger, big guy.
Midlife crisis.
I hear you. At least you didn't buy a Porsche, you know? Like,
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, not yet. Oh, everybody's fresh shaved in here today. Alex got a little 5 o'clock
This
shave.
is all I got. This is all I can do.
That's all you can do. I tell people, I mean, no offense to anybody I've got white trash DNA. You know, this stuff grows into about right here and stops. It just stops. It's like a built-in, it's a nice. I tried it. I had these awesome, like, Wolverine lamb chops in high school. I mean, I looked like Wolverine. It was like they would just get bushy and just stop right here and it was disgusting. That's why I probably never had a girlfriend in high school. So,
Only a few have handsome beards, really.
no, quite. I mean, it is an art.
It's an art.
I once lived with a guy for 9 months. His name was Carl Dawson in San Francisco when we were there in 2015-16. Carl Dawson had the most immaculate beard I'd ever seen. And I asked Carl, worked at Twitter at the time, and he was like a data management guy, like a macro guy. And I asked Carl, I said, Carl, what do you do to get such an immaculate beard? And he brings out this plethora of like beard oil, tools, grooming kits. And I mean, it was the life I never knew existed, you know, where I was like, I didn't know people could actually go out there and, oh, sorry, Nick, sorry. Okay, yeah, I digress.
How's focus this week, Coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. How is the focus this week? I'd rather talk about beards, you know, than basketball. San Jose, I told our team this yesterday in film, said, if you don't learn the lessons, the universe tends to repeat itself over and over again until you learn the lesson. And it's this game that the universe plays with you for the rest of your life, and that can be any lesson. I don't care if it's a personal lesson or a psychological or a social or emotional or spiritual or a physical or a team lesson. If you don't learn it, the universe is going to continue to put you in these cycles where it repeats itself. And ironically, a couple weeks ago we played UNLV, and UNLV was the same record, like almost identical situation. Same record, same spot in the standings, have a chance to go here or there, kind of control your own destiny at that point in time. And here we are a couple weeks later playing San Jose, nearly identical record, the same spot in the standings, trying to find a way to move up and move around and see, you know, what you've learned from that time. And a lot of this down the stretch here comes down to, right, we talked about intelligence and toughness, right? Like, are you playing hard enough to win? And then are you playing smart enough to execute, to help yourself give a chance to get the result you want? And that's, you know, to your point, how's the focus been? I mean, it's been a lot on us and about what we need to do to be able to stay and play present for every single game that comes down this 5-game stretch, now 4 left. So we're starting over at 0-0 again, and obviously been 1-0 in the first win, but like 0-0 again going into San Jose tomorrow with mirroring the exact same situation where you still have a chance to control your own destiny. I'm not one of those guys that likes to, you know, sit there and say, well, this could happen, but you know, everybody knows what you could play, the percentages and the odds of what happens here when you're playing, you know, essentially the next 2 games of teams that are extremely close to you in the standings. And there's a lot that can happen. You got to stay healthy, number one. And so we know Matia's been walking around in a boot. He's a tough kid. He's going to try to give her a go. We put him on ice yesterday, and we'll see how he feels today. And then obviously it'll be a game time decision tomorrow with him. And so to that point, like Scotty's been ingratiated back into the team fold, allowing him to do team practices and team lifts, and get him back in the fold here a little bit too. Not, you know, still unclear whether or not we'll play him on Saturday or not, but you know, it's just, you learn the lessons and you move on, and you can't bury people just because they make a bad choice, right? A bad choice doesn't make you a bad person, but you got to learn the lessons. And so for us, it's just continuing to teach the right things as we go down the stretch here, knowing that San Jose State is, I mean, they have their ups and downs as well. I mean, nobody gets out of this race without feeling a little bit of pain, a little bit of hurt, and you don't know what's going to happen with their roster, who they're going to play, or who's healthy or not, and you can't control that. So you just focus on your stuff, and had a good intense practice yesterday. We'll have another intense practice today, and then shoot around tomorrow, be prepped, and haze in the barn. But I know this, like you got to go play your butt off. You know, you got to go play your butt off. You got out of that first half funk against Air Force. got a little bit of that mojo back, shortened the bench up on the second half on Saturday, and to me, like, that's the message with guys. If you want to play, you got to practice hard, right? You got to continually practice hard. The only way to get yourself in a rotation is to show that in the minutes that you play or in the practices that you have the ability to go give more than you're giving right now. And that's what you look for down the stretch with these guys.
So obviously you talked about similarities with San Jose State. I mean, do you feel like, how similar are your two teams just with kind of the ups and downs of the season? They've obviously played, like, they almost beat San Diego State twice. Just kind of the ebb and flow of the season and where you guys are at, and obviously playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're a hard out, right? They played everybody close as well. I mean, it's the same league. This league is brutal. Like, you got to come prepared every night, mentally, physically. And so San Jose State's no different. I mean, they're a tough, gritty team. I mean, they got hard-nosed guards. They play a style of play where each one of their guards is playing with irrational confidence and can wiggle and hit some shots. And then obviously Viola's a load. It's important to have a big guy that can, he's a momentum roller to the rim and he can put his body on you and he's a good finisher. You remember at Fresno he shot 70% from the field in the season. That's a good big right there. And so Udeze was a killer at Utah State last year. I mean, you got two guys in this league, and Donovan Yap has transformed himself since Fresno. He's become one of the better, guards on their team, if not the best playmaking guard for those guys. And so they got three experienced guys in this league that know how to win and have done it before at different spots. And to me, that's why San Jose State's where they are. I mean, that's where we are. They have more experienced guys in this league. We have more experienced guys from just an age factor. But still, you got to go beat guys in this league who know what March is about. And that's why this test is tough here for us.
I know you're going to say that you're obviously focused on tomorrow, but you kind of use these matchups as a kind of a preview of maybe facing them again in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, crap. We get to watch so many games, like being on TV and I love the fact that Mountain West is free streaming. Like, if I got to watch Will Martin, my best friend at Missouri Western, I got to go pay money to the MIAA. So you can watch every team as much as you want to. My wife said at night before we go to bed, she's like, "What games are on?" And she wants to watch New Mexico, Boise. So we watch so many games, and these guys have the access to so many games that it's like everybody, right? And that's the thing that, as you get scouted and as you continue to go through, is, yep, you can have this matchup, but all of a sudden you start focusing on this matchup, and all of a sudden something weird happens. You don't have this matchup. You just kind of stay in the moment right now.
Scotty I think he had 22 in the first matchup. How important is that for, if he's not available, to have maybe another big step up or to kind of take advantage of? I don't know if that was a matchup thing or.
Well, it was a paint thing, right? And so that's the emphasis we drove home yesterday is you have to have a paint presence. How do you have a paint presence? There's three ways you have a paint presence. You can drive the ball into the paint, right? You can pass the ball into the paint with your big guys, or you can offensive rebound. And so two of those three have to happen. And if you don't have a paint presence or you're big, you have to be able to get the ball into the paint with your guards, or you have to go be able to make winning plays and get offensive rebounds and get in the paint that way. And so if you can get in the paint, I mean, that's where they do a good job. I think they shrink the gaps. They shrink the floor really well. They put a lot of hand help in the gaps. And you got to find a way to flatten them out and stretch them out and move them a little bit so you can get our guards in there. We had a really hard time getting in there at San Jose. That was also a weird deal. People don't know this. At San Jose, we got there. Like the last time we played there, our guys were getting dressed in the hallway. It was a doubleheader game. The women played before us, played Utah State. We got there, locker room wasn't ready. Like, there's 50 minutes on the clock. We're getting dressed in the hallway at San Jose, right? Like, so that ticks me off a little bit because you deserve the right to have, they're going to have nice accommodations here. They're going to be able to come in here, have their own clean locker room, and not have to wait for somebody to leave the locker room. And you deserve the right to have a fair, equitable fight. And to me, like, our guys didn't handle that adversity well over there. And I told them this. I said, you got it all now, so you better be able to be ready to play tomorrow.
Speaking of bigs, how much time do you think Cole Henry spends with a trainer every week?
Cole Henry, man, I'm just telling you, Cole Henry, Jake Taylor, man, he's got more ice on his knees and his elbows and his eyes. I mean, it's just like, Mama Donna, my mother-in-law, she's funny. She looks at the game, she looks empathetic look, she's like, I wanted to call Maggie Henry and just be like, oh, your son, when he had down in New Mexico, he's got an arm and he's got his black eye, and I just wanted to call his son and, his mom and be like, oh, I just love him so much. I'm like, did they get, what dads do? Dad's like, that's my boy. Hell yeah. Like, that's my son. I raised that guy. Like, that's what guys do when they see that stuff. And he's a man's man, right? He fishes, he hunts, like he's also a romantic at his heart, you know, with his fiance, and so that's a man's man right there. Yeah, I love Cole Henry. Questions?
How were they so successful against OB last time you guys played them?
They were really physical with him. I mean, and I think what I like about San Jose's guards is they like to take the challenge of guarding the other team's guards. I mean, they got really good, athletic, big guards, right? It's kind of the formula that we're looking for as we go forward here is you want to get like-sized individuals that have this physicality and toughness where you can switch everything and you can really disrupt it. And matchups on personnel don't really matter because it's each guy takes the accountability to guard their yard no matter who they're guarding. And a 6'5" guy can switch out to a post player in front of him and be physical with him. And I thought they did a really good job of just getting up into him, being physical with him, mixing up their ball screen coverages. They blitzed with Viola a little bit, dropped with Chol Morial, and I thought they really did a good job. And I didn't think we panicked a little bit. We didn't play with the right pace and the right. It was really sticky. You know, it's fine. We didn't make the right plays early. We started the game with 3 turnovers, and just making tough passes and bad reads. And so we're going to have to play a little bit more poised tomorrow. But that's where it was physical, and they were just up into them. And I think they took the challenge of guarding our team's best player.
You played 11 guys in San Jose. They only played 8. I assume you don't want to necessarily play 11 guys?
Yeah, not going to happen. I mean, not going to happen. Now, foul trouble can throw a monkey wrench in things, but it's the time of the year where you tighten up the bench, right? And I watched that funny clip of Bobby Knight the other day where he talks about, you know, what's the best motivator is the bench, you know, and he goes like, ass meets bench, you know, bench, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know the core, you can look it up and it's like, you know, ass sends signal to brain, brain sends signal to body, you know, body moves off bench and plays better. You know, it's a heck of a cycle right there. I laughed. I mean, you forget some of that old ancient, like, archaic wisdom that old Bobby Knight had, but it's a great motivator, and you have to be ready to go. I mean, when you go into a game, it's not necessarily about can you go score, but it's about are you making tough plays? Are you doing your job rebounding? Are you absorbing, you know, contact on drives and not giving up space and not letting guys score on you? It's about defensive rebounding when you go into a game, and that allows you to catch the flow and the rhythm. And outside of that, you know, scoring becomes a bonus, but most people put all their pressure, all their weight on the fact that they got to go score, or they think they got to be a scorer. I'm like, man, we're gonna get you looks. Like, can you go get stops? Can you go get rebounds? Can you get on the floor and get a 50-50 ball? Can you make your free throws? Right, those things are important.
You talked about the guys that Tim Miles picked up this offseason. How special is the job he's done in a place like that where he loses his roster every year? They play in front of 10 people, and you're getting ready in the hallway. What a masterful job that guy has really done.
This is what I know about, like, every coach has their niche, right? They got to find it. Every coach has got to find their niche, right? And I'll never forget this. I was a young assistant. I was on the road recruiting. I think Tim was at Nebraska, and we were talking a little bit, chopping it up, and he, you know, I was like talking about a player that I was recruiting, and I was, you know, said like he was an underdog, you know, nobody was recruiting him, and like he looks at me and he goes, Sundance, you know, be careful with underdogs. You know, underdogs get you beat. And I look at Tim Miles' career, and he's won with freaking underdogs. All right, like, so he was like probably trying to throw me off the scent. You know, like he's playing mind game. I mean, it's just who he is. He's throwing me off the scent. But I love recruiting underdogs, and I know he recruits underdogs. And he's a master class in being able to take those guys. In his old Colorado State teams, you know, he found some of those guys in Colorado. They ended up being really, really good players, and he developed into tough players. And he's done a really good job of finding those tough guys, man, more tough than talented. And then he has some talented guys that are pretty tough right now, and that equates to some success. But that's its formula, man. That's who he is. That's his recipe. And I've always admired that and respected that about him, is they could go find those players that maybe people overlooked. But I think one thing that he did well was he went and got players familiar with the league, in the league, and brought them to his place, right? And then used that experience to be able to push forward. I think that goes a long, long ways, to be honest with you.
How much have you been pumping into your roster this week that they can actually jump the team in the standings and leave them in the rear view and start focusing maybe on the next one, which is Nevada, who you have coming up?
A lot. I mean, we talk about meaningful games in February, March, like February, March. Shai will text me and it'll be like, it's hard to win games in February, you know, hard to win games in March. And, you know, you want to be, it's really hard, I think, to keep your team motivated and having hope, right? If you can't see anything, there's nothing in front of you. You know, it's why they put the rabbit on the track. You know, you got to chase the rabbit. You can't chase two of them now, but you got to chase at least one. And to be able to see somebody in front of you and say, like, all right, that's there for us. And then to know, like, the next one, if you see that, like, that's there for us. And now you need some other things to fall a different way. But there's a reality here where it's 9, 8, 7, who knows? You know, 6, you just don't know. But there's a reality where you can continue to move up, right? And we wanted to outperform our expectations, you know, which is, I think we were picked 9th in this league or whatever. And we're kind of at that spot right now. And I think to be able to outperform your expectations is a big deal. And so meaningful games and attaching meaning to it, knowing that it's not about the win, it's about how you do it. It's about the process of the result versus just a result.
We good? We good? We good?
Winner, winner? All right.
You like your court better